Those dreams where you're running from something dark and terrifying aren't random nightmares. They're your soul trying to show you what you're running from in your waking life. Every chase dream is actually a karmic message about fears, guilt, or unfinished spiritual business that's following you from this lifetime or previous incarnations. Until you turn around and face what's pursuing you, these dreams will continue haunting your sleep. What I'm about to reveal will transform your most frightening dreams into your greatest spiritual teachers. Once you understand what these dreams really mean, you'll never wake up in terror again. Instead, you'll wake up with profound insights about your spiritual growth. In the next 45 minutes, you're going to discover the profound spiritual meaning behind chase dreams and learn how to transform these frightening experiences into powerful tools for spiritual awakening. You'll understand why certain themes keep appearing in your dreams, what different types of pursuers represent, and most importantly, how to work with these dreams to resolve the karmic patterns they're revealing. You'll learn to recognize whether your chase dreams are showing you current life fears, past life karma, or spiritual lessons you need to complete. This knowledge will help you stop running from these dreams and start using them as guidance for your spiritual evolution and emotional healing. By the end of this teaching, you'll possess practical techniques for transforming chase dreams into lucid spiritual experiences, methods for resolving the underlying issues these dreams reveal, and the understanding to see every nightmare as an opportunity for deeper self-knowledge and spiritual growth. Chase dreams are among the most common and disturbing dream experiences, leaving you feeling anxious, exhausted, and confused about why your mind keeps creating these terrifying scenarios. You might wake up with your heart racing, wondering what's wrong with your subconscious or why you can't have peaceful sleep. Most dream interpretation focuses on surface psychological meanings, but these approaches often miss the deeper spiritual dimensions that make chase dreams such powerful messengers. When you understand these dreams from a karmic perspective, you discover that they're not random anxiety productions. They're precise communications from your soul about specific spiritual work that needs your attention. The reason chase dreams feel so real and emotionally intense is that they're accessing deep layers of your consciousness where unresolved spiritual patterns are stored. These dreams draw their power from authentic, spiritual, and emotional material that your conscious mind may have forgotten or chosen to ignore. What I'm sharing today comes from decades of helping students understand their dream experiences through spiritual insight combined with ancient teachings about how the soul communicates through sleep consciousness when waking awareness is too busy or defended to receive important messages. Today, we'll explore 4 profound levels of understanding that will reveal what your chase dreams are really trying to tell you. First, I'll explain the spiritual mechanics of why chase dreams occur and how your soul uses sleep consciousness to deliver messages that your waking mind needs to receive. Then, we'll discover how to identify what's really chasing you by understanding the symbolic language your subconscious uses to represent different types of unresolved spiritual and emotional material. You'll learn to recognize whether you're being pursued by current fears, past life karma, suppressed aspects of yourself, or spiritual lessons demanding attention. Next, I'll teach you practical techniques for working with chase dreams consciously, methods for becoming lucid during these experiences, ways to turn around and face your pursuer, and approaches for transforming the dream encounter into healing dialogue rather than terrifying flight. Finally, we'll explore how to integrate the insights from your chase dreams into your waking life to resolve the underlying patterns they're revealing. This is where real transformation happens, when dream guidance becomes practical spiritual work that frees you from the cycles these dreams represent. But here's what might surprise you most. The thing chasing you in your dreams often represents exactly what you most need to integrate for your spiritual wholeness. What appears as your enemy in dreams is frequently your greatest teacher in disguise. What we'll discover today will transform your relationship with these dreams, from fear and avoidance into curiosity and spiritual opportunity. You'll learn to welcome chase dreams as valuable spiritual guidance rather than dreading them as meaningless nightmares. So prepare to understand the profound spiritual wisdom your dreaming mind has been trying to share with you. My dear friend, to understand why your soul creates chase dreams, you must first recognize that your sleeping consciousness operates by entirely different laws than your waking mind. During sleep, the barriers between your conscious awareness and your deeper spiritual knowledge dissolve, allowing your soul to communicate truths that your daytime consciousness might resist or ignore. Chase dreams occur when your soul has important information to deliver about patterns of avoidance in your spiritual development. Just as your body creates physical pain to alert you when something needs healing attention, your soul creates chase dreams to alert you when something in your spiritual or emotional life needs direct confrontation rather than continued avoidance. The chase scenario is your soul's preferred metaphor for showing you the spiritual law that whatever we run from eventually catches up with us. In the physical world, you might be able to avoid difficult conversations, postpone challenging spiritual work, or ignore uncomfortable truths about yourself. But in the dream realm, your soul creates scenarios where avoidance becomes impossible. You must either face what's pursuing you or remain trapped in endless, exhausting flight. Think of chase dreams as your soul's way of saying, "You've been running from this long enough. It's time to stop and deal with what you've been avoiding." The more you avoid the real-life issue your chase dream represents, the more intense and frequent these dreams become. Your soul will continue escalating the urgency of its message until you pay attention. The spiritual mechanics behind chase dreams involve what I call karmic magnetism, the law that unresolved spiritual patterns in your consciousness act like magnets, continually attracting experiences that force you to deal with unfinished business. During sleep, when your ego's defenses are lowered, these karmic magnets become more active, creating dream scenarios that mirror your waking patterns of avoidance. I remember a student who experienced the same chase dream for over a year. She was being pursued through dark corridors by a figure she could never clearly see. Each time she would wake in terror, just as the pursuer was about to catch her. She tried various psychological interpretations and anxiety management techniques, but the dreams persisted. When we explored her dream from a karmic perspective, we discovered that the dark corridors represented her pattern of avoiding deeper spiritual commitment. She had been spiritually seeking for years, but always backed away when teachings became too demanding or transformative. The pursuer was her own soul, trying to catch up with her scattered spiritual attention and bring her into focused spiritual practice. Once she understood this message and committed to regular, disciplined spiritual practice, the chase dreams immediately stopped. Her soul no longer needed to pursue her because she had stopped running from her spiritual responsibilities. The intensity of chase dreams corresponds directly to the spiritual urgency of the message they carry. Mild chase scenarios usually indicate recent patterns of avoidance that can be easily corrected. Terrifying pursuit dreams often represent deep karmic patterns that have been building for years or even lifetimes, and now demand immediate attention. The frequency of chase dreams also carries important information. Occasional chase dreams might represent temporary avoidance of specific issues. Daily chase dreams indicate persistent spiritual patterns that are actively blocking your evolution and require sustained effort to resolve. Your emotional response during and after chase dreams provides crucial guidance about the nature of what you're avoiding. Pure terror usually indicates you're running from something that actually represents your greatest growth opportunity, but which your ego perceives as threatening to its current identity. Anger or frustration during chase dreams often suggests you're avoiding taking responsibility for patterns you know need to change. Sadness or grief in chase dreams frequently indicates you're running from necessary endings or losses that would open space for new spiritual growth. The environment where chase dreams occur also carries spiritual significance. Being chased through familiar locations like your childhood home or workplace indicates you're avoiding resolving patterns connected to those specific life contexts. Being pursued through unknown landscapes suggests you're running from unexplored aspects of your spiritual potential. Underground chase dreams often represent avoidance of subconscious patterns or repressed aspects of yourself. Chase dreams that occur in elevated locations like buildings or mountains usually indicate you're running from higher spiritual callings or expanded consciousness that feels overwhelming to your current identity. The dream environments shift and change as you work with the underlying patterns. Students often report that their chase dream locations become progressively lighter and more open as they address the spiritual avoidance patterns these dreams revealed. But perhaps the most important aspect of understanding chase dreams spiritually is recognizing that the pursuer is never truly external to you. Whether the chaser appears as a person, animal, monster, or abstract force, it always represents some aspect of your own spiritual experience that's trying to integrate with your conscious awareness. This is why running never provides lasting relief in chase dreams. You can't escape from aspects of yourself, spiritual lessons you need to learn, or karmic patterns that require resolution. The only real solution is to stop running and engage consciously with what's pursuing you. When you understand chase dreams as spiritual communication rather than random anxiety, you begin to see them as valuable guidance rather than meaningless suffering. Your soul is trying to help you identify exactly what you need to face for your next level of spiritual growth. Instead of dreading these dreams, you can welcome them as precise diagnostic tools for your spiritual development. The ultimate purpose of chase dreams is to awaken you to patterns of spiritual avoidance and guide you toward the courage needed for genuine spiritual growth. Every spiritual advancement requires facing something you've been avoiding. Whether it's deeper self-honesty, challenging spiritual practices, difficult forgiveness work, or expanded service to others. Your soul knows exactly what you need to face for your evolution, and it will continue creating chase dreams until you develop the spiritual courage to stop running and start engaging with your authentic growth edges. Now that you understand why chase dreams occur, let me help you decode what's actually pursuing you by learning to read the symbolic language your soul uses to represent different types of unresolved spiritual material. The identity of your dream pursuer provides precise information about what aspect of your spiritual development requires attention. Your soul doesn't create random chase figures. Each type of pursuer represents specific categories of spiritual work that your conscious mind has been avoiding. Shadow figures or dark, faceless entities are among the most common dream pursuers, and they typically represent suppressed aspects of yourself that need integration. These aren't evil forces trying to harm you. They're parts of your own nature that you've rejected, denied, or failed to acknowledge consciously. Everyone has shadow aspects, qualities, emotions, or potentials that don't fit their conscious self-image and therefore get pushed into the unconscious. The problem with rejecting these aspects is that they don't disappear. They become autonomous forces in your psyche that can sabotage your conscious intentions or emerge in destructive ways. When shadow figures chase you in dreams, your soul is saying, "Stop running from parts of yourself." These rejected aspects contain energy and wisdom you need for wholeness. Often, the qualities you most fear or despise in others are projections of your own disowned shadow material that needs conscious integration. I worked with a student who was constantly chased by dark, hooded figures that felt profoundly evil and threatening. She was convinced these represented demonic attacks or spiritual warfare. Through careful dream work, we discovered these figures represented her own capacity for healthy anger and assertiveness that she had rejected because of childhood conditioning about being nice and spiritual. Her family and religious background had taught her that anger was sinful and that truly spiritual people were always gentle and accommodating. So she had suppressed her natural capacity for healthy boundaries and self-advocacy, pushing these qualities into her shadow where they appeared as terrifying pursuers. When she learned to recognize and consciously integrate her healthy assertiveness, setting appropriate boundaries, expressing her authentic opinions, and standing up for herself when necessary, the dark hooded figures transformed in her dreams into wise guides who helped her navigate challenging situations. Known people as pursuers in chase dreams usually represent unresolved relationship patterns or projected fears about those individuals. When someone from your life is chasing you in dreams, it rarely means that person intends you harm. More often, they represent your own fears about confronting issues in that relationship or aspects of yourself that you see reflected in them. Parents or family members as pursuers often indicate you're avoiding resolving childhood patterns, family karma, or inherited emotional patterns that continue to influence your adult life. Former romantic partners as chasers usually suggest unresolved relationship karma or patterns of emotional avoidance that began in those relationships but continue affecting your current connections. Authority figures like teachers, bosses, or religious leaders as pursuers typically represent your avoidance of taking full responsibility for your own spiritual authority and development. You may be running from the call to step into greater leadership, self-direction, or spiritual maturity. Animals as dream pursuers represent instinctual energies, primal fears, or natural aspects of life that your civilized consciousness has learned to avoid. Wild animals often symbolize suppressed life force, natural sexuality, survival instincts, or connection to earth wisdom that needs conscious integration. Predatory animals like wolves, lions, or bears usually represent power, courage, or fierce protectiveness that you need to develop but which feels threatening to your current identity. Domestic animals as pursuers might indicate you're avoiding simple, natural approaches to spiritual or emotional challenges. I remember a student who was repeatedly chased by a massive wolf in her dreams. She feared this represented dangerous, destructive impulses that she needed to keep suppressed. Through dream work, we discovered the wolf represented her own fierce, feminine power and protective instincts that she had learned to suppress in order to appear more acceptable to others. As a child, she had been criticized for being too intense or too much whenever she expressed strong emotions or stood up for herself or others. She learned to make herself smaller and gentler to gain approval, but her natural fierce protectiveness didn't disappear. It went underground where it appeared as a threatening wolf in her dreams. When she began consciously reclaiming her fierce feminine power, speaking up against injustice, protecting others who couldn't protect themselves, and expressing her authentic intensity, the wolf in her dreams became her ally and guide rather than her pursuer. Abstract or monster-like pursuers often represent spiritual lessons, karmic debts, or evolutionary pressures that feel overwhelming to your current consciousness. These might appear as natural disasters chasing you, mechanical or technological threats, or creatures that seem alien or otherworldly. These abstract pursuers usually indicate you're avoiding major life transitions, spiritual callings that feel too big for your current identity, or karmic responsibilities that you've inherited from past actions in this or previous lifetimes. The size and power of your dream pursuer often corresponds to the significance of what you're avoiding. Small, manageable pursuers usually represent minor avoidance patterns that can be easily addressed. Enormous, overwhelming chasers typically indicate major spiritual transformations or life changes that your ego finds terrifying, but which your soul knows are necessary for your evolution. The speed and persistence of your pursuer also carries important information. Slow-moving chasers that you can easily outrun suggest you're successfully avoiding issues for now, but they will eventually catch up with you. Fast, persistent pursuers that gain ground quickly indicate that the spiritual pressure to address these patterns is intensifying and can't be avoided much longer. Multiple pursuers in the same dream usually indicate you're avoiding several related spiritual issues simultaneously. Often, addressing the primary avoidance pattern represented by the main pursuer will cause the other chasers to transform or disappear as well. The transformation of pursuers across multiple dreams provides important feedback about your spiritual progress. As you work on the underlying issues, many students report that their dream chasers become smaller, slower, less threatening, or even transform into helpful guides. The ultimate goal of decoding your spiritual pursuer isn't just intellectual understanding, but recognition that whatever is chasing you contains exactly what you need for your next level of wholeness. The energy you're spending running from your pursuer is energy that could be redirected toward integrating whatever wisdom or growth that pursuer represents. When you learn to see your dream pursuers as messengers rather than enemies, as aspects of yourself seeking integration rather than external threats to be escaped, you transform the entire chase dynamic from fear-based avoidance into curiosity-based exploration. Now that you can identify what's pursuing you spiritually, let me teach you practical techniques for working with these dreams consciously so you can transform pursuit into healing dialogue. The most powerful approach to resolving chase dreams is developing the ability to become conscious during the dream experience itself, what's called lucid dreaming. When you realize you're dreaming while the chase is occurring, you gain the spiritual courage needed to stop running and face your pursuer directly. Lucid dreaming in chase scenarios requires overcoming the natural fear response that makes you want to continue fleeing. But remember, you're in a dream. Nothing can actually harm you here. This is the perfect safe space to practice facing what you've been avoiding in waking life. The key to becoming lucid during chase dreams is developing what I call dream courage, the spiritual strength to choose consciousness over automatic reaction even when fear is intense. This courage develops gradually through practice and spiritual development, but even small steps toward lucidity can create profound transformation. Begin by setting a clear intention before sleep. If I have a chase dream tonight, I will recognize that I'm dreaming and turn to face my pursuer. Repeat this intention with conviction as you fall asleep, visualizing yourself calmly turning around in the dream to meet whatever is chasing you. During the dream, look for what I call dream signs that indicate you're not in waking reality. In chase dreams, common dream signs include your ability to run faster or longer than normal, environments that shift or change unexpectedly, pursuers that seem larger than life or impossible in waking reality, or your own emotional responses that seem more intense than the situation would normally warrant. When you notice these dream signs, pause and ask yourself, am I dreaming? The moment you realize you're dreaming, the entire power dynamic of the chase changes. You're no longer a helpless victim being pursued by threatening forces. You're a conscious spiritual being choosing how to engage with aspects of your own psyche. The first few times you become lucid during a chase dream, you might still feel compelled to run out of habit. This is natural. Simply becoming conscious that you're dreaming is a major achievement that will make future lucidity easier to access. But as your dream consciousness develops, you can begin practicing the most transformative technique of all, deliberately stopping and turning around to face your pursuer. This requires tremendous spiritual courage because every instinct will tell you to keep running. But remember, you're in a safe dream space where you have ultimate control. When you turn to face your pursuer, approach with curiosity rather than aggression. You're not trying to fight or defeat this aspect of yourself. You're trying to understand what it represents and what it needs from you. Often, the simple act of facing your pursuer with conscious awareness causes it to transform immediately. I taught this technique to a student who had been plagued by chase dreams, where enormous monsters pursued her through crumbling buildings. The first time she became lucid enough to turn and face the monster, she discovered it wasn't trying to harm her at all. It was carrying a gift that it had been trying to deliver. The gift turned out to be her own creative power that she had been running from, because it required her to be more visible and vulnerable than felt comfortable. The monster represented the overwhelming feeling of stepping into her full creative expression, but once she faced it consciously, she could see it was actually offering her exactly what her soul most desired. Once you can face your pursuer, the next step is establishing communication. In dreams, communication doesn't always happen through words. It often occurs through direct knowing, emotional exchange, or symbolic interaction. Ask your pursuer questions like, what do you represent? What do you need from me? How can I work with you rather than running from you? What would happen if I stopped avoiding what you symbolize? Be prepared to receive answers in unexpected forms, through images, feelings, sudden understanding, or symbolic actions. Sometimes your pursuer will literally speak to you, offering direct guidance about the spiritual work needed. Other times, the communication happens through the pursuer's transformation. It might become smaller, change shape, offer you something, or gesture for you to follow it somewhere. Many students discover that their most frightening dream pursuers become their most helpful spirit guides once conscious communication is established. The energy that was being used to chase you becomes available to support your spiritual growth in the areas where you most need assistance. Another powerful technique is dream re-entry, returning to the chase dream through conscious visualization during waking hours to complete the dialogue that began during sleep. If you wake up from a chase dream before achieving resolution, you can re-enter that dream landscape through meditation and finish the conversation. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and visualize yourself back in the dream environment where the chase occurred. This time, instead of running, see yourself turning to face your pursuer with calm curiosity. Often, you can complete the healing dialogue during waking visualization that you weren't able to finish during the actual dream. The practice of dream re-entry also helps you integrate dream insights into your waking consciousness, making it more likely that you'll recognize and apply the spiritual guidance these dreams provide. Some students find it helpful to keep a dream dialogue journal where they record conversations with dream pursuers, insights received during lucid moments, and plans for addressing the spiritual patterns these dreams reveal. As you develop skill in conscious dream work, you'll discover that chase dreams often transform into entirely different types of experiences: collaborative adventures, teaching encounters, or healing journeys. Once your soul recognizes that you're willing to face what needs attention, it no longer needs to create pursuit scenarios to get your attention. The ultimate goal of transforming chase dreams isn't to eliminate them entirely, but to develop such spiritual courage and consciousness that you welcome any dream experience as an opportunity for growth and understanding. When you no longer run from any aspect of your spiritual experience, your dreams become allies in your evolution rather than sources of fear and confusion. Now let me show you how to take the insights from your chase dreams and use them to create real transformation in your waking spiritual life. The true value of understanding chase dreams lies not in analyzing them intellectually, but in using their guidance to make concrete changes in your daily spiritual practice and life patterns. Your dreams are pointing towards specific spiritual work that needs attention, and integrating this work is what actually resolves the patterns that create chase dreams. Begin by identifying the primary message your chase dreams are conveying about your spiritual avoidance patterns. Ask yourself, what am I running from in my waking life that corresponds to what I'm running from in my dreams? The connection might not be obvious at first, but meditation and honest self-reflection usually reveal the correspondence. If your dream pursuer represents suppressed shadow aspects, your waking work involves conscious shadow integration. This might mean acknowledging and expressing emotions you've been suppressing, developing personal qualities you've rejected as unspiritual, or accepting aspects of your nature that don't match your idealized self-image. For example, if you've been running from angry or dark figures in dreams, you might need to develop healthy ways to express legitimate anger, set appropriate boundaries with people who drain your energy, or acknowledge your own capacity for selfishness without condemning yourself for being human. If your chase dreams involve known people, your integration work focuses on resolving relationship patterns these individuals represent. This might require having difficult conversations you've been avoiding, setting boundaries with family members, healing old romantic wounds, or addressing your tendency to project your own issues onto others. When animals chase you in dreams, your integration work usually involves reconnecting with natural instincts, life force energy, or earth wisdom that your overly mental or spiritual approach to life has been neglecting. You might need to spend more time in nature, engage in physical practices that ground you in your body, or honor your sexual and creative energies as sacred rather than problematic. For abstract or monster-like pursuers representing major spiritual transitions or callings, your integration work involves taking concrete steps toward the spiritual growth or life changes you've been avoiding. This often requires breaking down overwhelming spiritual tasks into manageable daily practices. I worked with a student whose chase dreams involved being pursued by enormous tidal waves that seemed to represent overwhelming spiritual transformation. She felt called to become a spiritual teacher, but was terrified of the visibility and responsibility this would require. Her integration work involved taking small, concrete steps toward teaching, starting with sharing spiritual insights with close friends, then leading small meditation groups, gradually building the confidence and skills needed for larger teaching roles. As she took these practical steps toward her spiritual calling, the tidal wave dreams transformed into dreams of surfing powerful waves with skill and joy. Create specific daily practices that address what your chase dreams are highlighting. If you're running from spiritual discipline, establish regular meditation or prayer practices. If you're avoiding emotional honesty, begin keeping a feelings journal or sharing more authentically with trusted friends. If your chase dreams indicate you're running from service opportunities, look for concrete ways to be helpful to others. If they suggest you're avoiding spiritual study, commit to regular engagement with teachings that challenge your current understanding. The key is making your integration work specific and consistent rather than vague and sporadic. Your soul created chase dreams because general spiritual intentions weren't sufficient to motivate the changes needed. Concrete daily practices create the systematic approach required for real transformation. Many students find it helpful to work with the energy and symbolism from their chase dreams in their waking spiritual practices. If you were chased by a wolf, you might meditate on reclaiming your own fierce protectiveness. If dark figures pursued you, you might practice loving-kindness meditation directed toward your own rejected aspects. Prayer can also be a powerful tool for integrating chase dream insights. Ask for divine assistance in developing the courage to face what you've been avoiding, for wisdom to understand the spiritual lessons your dreams are highlighting, and for strength to make the changes necessary for spiritual growth. Track your progress by paying attention to changes in your dream patterns. As you address the spiritual work your chase dreams revealed, you'll often notice that the dreams become less frequent, less intense, or transform into more collaborative scenarios. However, be prepared for new chase dreams to emerge as you complete one layer of spiritual work and become ready for deeper growth. Your soul will continue using dreams to guide your attention toward whatever aspects of spiritual development most need your focus. The ultimate goal of integrating chase dream wisdom is developing such spiritual courage and consciousness that you no longer unconsciously avoid any aspect of your spiritual journey. When you become someone who naturally faces, rather than flees, from growth opportunities, your dreams shift from being corrective messages to being supportive guidance for continuing evolution. Students who successfully integrate their chase dream guidance often report that their overall relationship with challenge and difficulty transforms. Instead of automatically avoiding anything that feels uncomfortable or threatening, they develop curiosity about what every challenging experience might be trying to teach them. This shift from avoidance to engagement doesn't just resolve chase dreams, it accelerates spiritual growth in every area of life. When you stop running from aspects of your spiritual journey, you become available for the deep transformation that your soul has been seeking to create. The courage you develop by facing your dream pursuers translates directly into courage for facing the growth edges in your waking life. Each time you turn around in a dream, instead of running away, you strengthen your capacity to engage consciously with whatever spiritual challenges arise in your daily experience. This is the ultimate gift of chase dream work. Not just peaceful sleep, but the spiritual maturity to embrace every aspect of your journey toward divine realization with curiosity, courage, and trust in the wisdom of your own spiritual unfolding. My beloved friend, what we've explored today reveals that your chase dreams are far from random nightmares. They're sophisticated spiritual communications designed to guide you toward greater wholeness and spiritual evolution. You now understand how your soul uses sleep consciousness to deliver messages about unresolved patterns, and you've learned to decode what different types of pursuers represent. You've discovered practical techniques for transforming these frightening experiences into opportunities for spiritual dialogue and growth. And most importantly, you understand how to integrate dream insights into your waking spiritual practice to resolve the underlying patterns these dreams reveal. Remember, the thing chasing you in dreams is rarely your enemy. It's usually exactly what you need to face, integrate, or understand for your spiritual advancement. These dreams will continue until the spiritual work they're highlighting is complete. Your chase dreams aren't punishing you or indicating that something is wrong with your spiritual development. They're evidence that your soul cares enough about your growth to keep sending you messages until you receive the guidance needed for your next level of evolution. Every chase dream is actually a love letter from your deepest self, calling you toward the courage and consciousness that will free you from patterns of avoidance and open you to the spiritual growth that's waiting on the other side of whatever you've been running from. So the next time you find yourself being chased in a dream, remember, you're not being pursued by something that wants to harm you. You're being called by something that wants to heal you. Instead of running in fear, try to turn around with curiosity and ask, what are you trying to teach me? What do I need to understand or integrate? The spiritual courage you develop by facing your dream pursuers will transform not only your sleep experiences, but your entire approach to spiritual growth. When you learn to face rather than flee from what challenges you, every aspect of life becomes an opportunity for deeper understanding and evolution. I'm deeply curious about your own chase dream experiences. What types of things most commonly pursue you in dreams? Have you noticed patterns in when these dreams occur or what might trigger them? Share your experiences in the comments. Understanding each other's dream patterns often provides insights we couldn't discover alone. And here's a question for deeper reflection. If you could safely communicate with whatever chases you in dreams, what would you most want to ask it? Sometimes setting this intention before sleep opens the door to more conscious dream dialogue. Another question to explore: what are you most avoiding or running from in your waking spiritual life? Often, recognizing our patterns of avoidance during waking hours helps us understand why our souls need to create chase dreams to get our attention. If this understanding of chase dreams has helped you see these experiences in a new light, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and consider joining our YouTube membership community. Your support allows us to continue exploring the profound spiritual dimensions of human experience that often go unrecognized. For those interested in deeper dream work and spiritual insight, join our free email community where I share additional guidance about dream interpretation, spiritual development, and understanding the soul's communications. You'll find the link in the description below. Remember, when you learn to work with your dreams as spiritual guidance rather than dismissing them as random mental activity, you open doorways to wisdom that can transform every aspect of your spiritual journey. Your dream insights might be exactly what another soul needs to understand their own spiritual path. Every time you choose to face rather than flee from what your dreams reveal, you contribute to the healing and awakening of consciousness itself. Your spiritual courage gives others permission to face their own avoided growth edges. Your willingness to integrate all aspects of yourself helps create a world where wholeness, rather than fragmentation, becomes the norm. The wisdom you gain from working with chaste dreams consciously extends far beyond your personal spiritual journey. As you develop the courage to face whatever pursues you in dreams, you develop the spiritual strength needed to face whatever challenges arise in waking life with consciousness rather than reactivity. This courage becomes contagious, inspiring others to stop running from their own spiritual growth edges. Your dream work becomes service to the collective awakening, helping to heal the patterns of avoidance and fear that keep humanity from accessing its full spiritual potential. Until we meet again in the realm where all dreams reveal their deeper truth, may you find the courage to face what pursues you, the wisdom to understand what it teaches, and the peace that comes from integrating all aspects of your spiritual wholeness. May your dreams become doorways to deeper self-understanding, and may every chaste dream transform into an opportunity for spiritual breakthrough. And may the courage you develop in facing your dream pursuers empower you to embrace every aspect of your spiritual journey with the fearless love that leads to divine realization. Why is it that no matter how many times you try to begin again, you feel you are circling back to the same wounds, the same heartbreaks, the same moments of despair and disillusionment? Why does it seem that you have changed your outer life many times, moved cities, shifted relationships, adopted new habits, but the same shadows keep walking beside you? There is a reason, beloved, a sacred reason, and it is not punishment. It is a silent cry from your soul, asking you to awaken from the illusion of linear living and see the deeper vibration of karmic repetition beneath your choices. You are not just reliving this life. You are reliving the vibration of all the lives that came before. You live the same life over and over, not because God has abandoned you, but because you have not yet remembered that the outward world is a mirror, not of your intentions, but of your energy, your karma, your deeply stored memories in the subtle spine of your being. You were born not just into a body, you were born into a stream of momentum, set in motion by thoughts, desires, actions, and identifications from past incarnations. You are not simply beginning again. You are continuing a story whose first chapter was written in another lifetime. The ego lives in the illusion of fresh starts. It changes its name, its clothes, its companions, and believes it has begun anew. But the soul knows that until vibration changes, manifestation cannot change. You are not trapped by fate. You are simply orbiting the gravitational field of your untransformed energy. You walk the same emotional corridors because your soul has not yet burned through the tendencies that build them. You attract the same kinds of people, challenges, and inner battles because your karmic field is playing the same song, and life must dance to that rhythm until you rise and rewrite the music. This is the mystery of samsara, the ceaseless wheel of incarnation, whose axis is not time, but ignorance. The soul, clothed in forgetfulness, returns again and again to the same scenes, because it has not yet reclaimed the script. And until you remember that this movie is running from a reel deep in the subconscious, you will keep changing the screen while the same story plays again and again. But I come to awaken you, not with condemnation, but with divine remembrance. You are not cursed, you are not broken, you are not behind. You are simply asleep in a sacred loop, and now it is time to rise. The fear you feel that you will never change, never escape, never be free, that fear is not the voice of truth. It is the echo of unburned karma speaking in your name. But it has no right to speak for you anymore. You were not sent to repeat. You were sent to realize. You were not sent to orbit. You were sent to ascend. But you must now look, gently and clearly, at the patterns you have been carrying. not as your identity, but as the next step in your evolution. Do not fear the repetition. Let it reveal to you what is still incomplete. Let it show you what part of your vibration still seeks to be purified in God. You live the same life because you have not yet changed the witness inside it. And once the witness awakens, once you no longer identify with the karma, but with the consciousness behind it, the pattern begins to unravel. What once was a wall becomes a doorway. What once was a repetition becomes a revelation. So I ask you now to sit with me in silence, just for a breath. Let your spine rise as the sacred altar it is. Let your eyes lift to the seat of divine remembrance, the point between the eyebrows. And now, with your own inner voice, not of the ego, but of the soul, say, I have lived this life before, but I do not have to live it again. I see the pattern, I bless it, I release it. I am the soul, awakened from the wheel. Breathe. This is where it begins, not with new circumstances, but with a new consciousness. You have lived enough lifetimes in forgetfulness. Let this breath be the first of a life remembered. To understand why you keep living the same life, you must first understand what karma truly is, not as folklore, not as punishment, not as a mechanical doctrine of what goes around comes around, but as a divine law of vibrational cause and soul continuity. Karma is not what happens to you. It is what continues within you. It is the signature your soul carries, shaped not only by your actions, but more deeply by your intentions, attachments, and identifications. Karma is not a cosmic revenge system. It is a mirror of memory, ever faithful to reflect your own energy back to you in forms you can no longer ignore. You see, each thought you think, each feeling you nourish, each desire you clutch, these do not vanish when your body sleeps, or even when it dies. They imprint themselves into the subtle astral body, into the energetic sheath of the soul that moves from one incarnation to the next. Like drops of dye into pure water, they slowly color the entire field of your being. And the more intensely you identify with an experience, the more deeply it etches itself into your future manifestations. A man may live in poverty for one lifetime because he sowed greed in another. But the karma is not money, it is attachment, the clinging to form, the forgetting of the soul's true wealth. Another may be born into a cycle of abandonment, not because God is cruel, but because the soul must learn to no longer seek its belonging in fleeting beings, but in the eternal beloved. Karma is not what happens, it is what remains until you release it. Let me give you a sacred image. Picture a garden. Each life is a garden you inherit from your past thoughts and actions. Some seeds were planted in anger, others in compassion. Some you watered with fear, others with joy. And now, as you walk through this garden, the fruits you taste, whether bitter or sweet, are not punishments or rewards. They are simply the harvest of your own prior cultivation. But here is the sacred key. While you must taste what you planted, you are also planting right now. Every breath, every reaction, every prayer is a seed. And if you begin this very day to sow new vibrations of stillness, of devotion, of inner mastery, you begin to rewrite your future karma, not by denying the past, but by transcending its tone. The most powerful karma is not action, it is identification. If you react with fear, you affirm the karmic loop. If you bless with calmness, you break it. When you respond differently than before, when you remain still where once you rage, when you forgive where once you resented, this small moment becomes a revolution of soul vibration, and the pattern begins to dissolve. And yet most do not live this way. They react as they always have. They think they are making new choices, but they are merely echoing old energy. That is why the outer life appears to change. New faces, new places, but the inner film remains the same. Let this truth liberate you. You are not cursed. You are karmically rhythmic. You are not being punished. You are being reminded. So how do you begin to change the karma? You start not by changing the world, but by becoming still enough to see the vibration behind your reactions. When anger rises, pause and ask, what energy is being replayed here? When fear appears, breathe and say, this is an echo. I choose a different tone. When desire calls, lift your gaze and declare, Only God is my fulfillment. This is how you begin to become the author of your karma rather than its actor. Say this now as an affirmation, breathing slowly and deliberately. I am not my past reactions. I am the soul choosing new vibration in each breath. What I bless dissolves. What I witness transforms. Breathe. You are not a prisoner of your karma. You are the artist of your energy. And with each conscious act, you sculpt a future that no longer repeats the past. Beloved, you are not simply reincarnated as a soul in new form. You are reincarnated as a vibration, a silent script written not on paper, but on the subtle canvas of your astral and causal bodies. When you are born into this world, you do not arrive as a blank slate. You carry with you an invisible screenplay, a series of tendencies, attractions, emotional reflexes, and desires, all of which arise not from this current life, but from the karmic impressions of those long past. This is why, even from childhood, you are drawn to certain faces, places, or situations with inexplicable magnetism. You are not discovering them, you are recognizing them. Your subconscious is the projection booth from which these karmic patterns emerge. And though the scenery may change, this lifetime's country, culture, language, the themes of the story remain eerily familiar. Pain that feels too deep for one life, fears that have no origin in this life's memory, desires that pull with the strength of centuries. These are the echoes of unresolved karma, of inner scripts that were not burned through by spiritual fire. And so you live the same emotional life over and over. Perhaps the faces change, but the heartbreak repeats. Perhaps the careers differ, but the dissatisfaction returns. Perhaps the environments shift, but the inner loneliness follows like a shadow. You are not cursed. You are simply remembering unconsciously. You are replaying the script, thinking it is fresh, while the subconscious is running the same reel on the projector. This is why the yogis teach that true reincarnation is not merely physical, it is psychological. You return again and again to the same inner narrative until you become the witness of the film rather than the actor within it. Until you rise above the screen and reclaim the director's seat, karma will continue to project its imagery upon the canvas of your days. And this projection is strengthened not by events, but by identification. Every time you say, "This is just who I am," or "This always happens to me," or "This is my nature," you are affirming the old identity and thus granting it more reality. You make it your home. You forget that it is simply the playback of a script that was written while you slept. Let me give you a sacred image. Picture a grand theater where your life's movie is being projected. The ego sits in the front row, weeping, laughing, reacting wildly. But the soul sits quietly in the back row, watching with calm detachment. The ego forgets it is a viewer. The soul remembers it is not the movie, but the light behind the film. When you meditate, when you become still, when you lift your gaze inward, you shift seats. You leave the front row of reactivity and move to the high balcony of the eternal witness. And in that seat, you can choose, shall I keep watching this old reel, or shall I change the film? The subconscious will resist, it likes repetition. But the soul was not made for loops, it was made for liberation. So how do you begin to dissolve the inner script? With breath, with stillness, with prayerful observation. Watch your reactions like a film. See your repetitive thoughts not as truth, but as leftover karmic echo. Bless them, smile at them, and release them. Say this now as a breath decree. I am not the story. I am not the role. I am the light behind the projection. Breathe and now say, what has repeated until now ends with me. I burn the script. I reclaim the pen. I rewrite this life as the soul intended. This is not poetic metaphor. This is metaphysical truth. Every soul must one day awaken to the authorship of their reincarnation. And that awakening, dear one, is not waiting in a future life. It begins right now, with this next breath and this next choice. Beloved soul, now that you see the pattern, the question arises, how do I break it? How do I escape the invisible cage of karma whose bars are made not of iron, but of memory and momentum. The answer is not found in effort alone. It is not found in intellectual understanding or mental rehearsal. The answer is in conscious spiritual action, not action driven by desire, but action guided by the soul's remembrance of its divine origin. Let me tell you, every soul is given not only the burden of karma, but the power to dissolve it. The key is to recognize that every moment of awareness is a moment of release. When you act from spiritual awareness rather than compulsion, you are no longer the actor in the play. You become the liberator of your own destiny. You are not just choosing a new response, you are redirecting the entire flow of karmic force. What breaks the cycle is not simply trying harder. What breaks the cycle is yogic stillness, devotional intention, and above all, the science of Kriya Yoga, the sacred technique I was sent to bring to the West, through which the restless breath is stilled, the spine becomes the altar of God remembrance, and the seeds of karma are incinerated at their root. Kriya is not just a technique, it is a cosmic fire ritual performed inside the subtle temple of your body. Each breath drawn upward in devotion, each exhalation released in inner stillness, burns away the tendencies of countless past lives. As the Gita declares, even a little practice of this inward religion saves one from dire fears and colossal sufferings. Why? Because it interrupts the pattern. It silences the compulsion. It transforms repetition into remembrance. But even before you receive Kriya, you can begin the process now. Let every reaction become a spiritual opportunity. Let every moment you would usually complain become a moment to praise God. Let every temptation to relive the past become a vow to respond from the soul. The karmic loop feeds on unconscious reaction, but it cannot survive conscious inner witness. Say you feel jealousy. Normally it would lead to comparison, resentment, inner agitation. But now stop, breathe, lift your gaze, and instead of reacting, say, this is the echo of envy from lives where I believed I lacked. And bless it, witness it, do not follow it. And by that simple shift, the karma begins to dissolve. Not in theory, but in vibration. Or say someone wounds you. In the past, you would defend, retaliate, internalize. But now the soul says, this wound is familiar, but I am not that past self anymore. You breathe. You speak with calmness. You invoke God's peace. And suddenly the karmic script finds no actor. It vanishes. This, dear one, is the true meaning of spiritual discipline. Not to deny the world, but to use it as the forge of liberation. Every thought, every response, every word is a lever of transcendence if it is offered into the fire of awareness. Let us now say this together, not merely as a prayer, but as a new karmic imprint. I respond not as I did before. I bless the cycle and I step beyond it. I am not the one who repeats. I am the one who remembers. Breathe, and now say, let this breath be new. Let this choice be free. Let this karma be dissolved in the light of God. You are not trapped, beloved. You are awakening. And as you awaken, the old film begins to flicker, to fade, to burn. In its place, a new light arises, not of reaction, but of realization. Now let us enter more deeply into the soul's self-observation. For though many speak of karma as an external law, the truth is, karma is most insidious when it disguises itself as your personality. The first sign that you are living the same life over and over is this. You mistake emotion for identity. You believe the feeling is who you are. You wear the vibration as your name. You carry the memory of fear or sorrow not as a visitor, but as your very self. You say, I am anxious. I am unloved. I am broken. But these are not truths. These are echoes, karmic vibrations reasserting themselves through the instrument of your mind and body. You do not realize they are old waves, recycled energies, stored impressions from lifetimes in which you identified with abandonment, betrayal, fear, or unworthiness. And because you do not recognize them as foreign to the soul, you accept them as your home. You live inside the feeling as if it is the architecture of your being. But let me remind you with divine certainty, you are not your emotions. You are not your sadness, your restlessness, your shame. These are vrittis, waves on the surface of consciousness. They rise, they fall, they pass through the field of your awareness. But they are not you. You are the ocean beneath them. You are the unchanging witness. The problem arises when you name the emotion and claim it. When a sadness arises and you say, "This is who I am," you build a karmic doorway through which that emotion will return again and again. You become its magnet. The soul forgets its vastness and begins to echo the limited frequency of the mood. But when you feel sadness and say, here is an energy, let me witness it, let me bless it, let me dissolve it in light, you transform the very nature of your being. The soul reclaims its role as the master of the inner kingdom. This is why the yogis teach us to observe, not absorb, to feel, but not fuse. Let the emotion rise like a cloud. Let it move. Let it rain. But do not follow it into the storm. Return instead to the sun, the self, the light that watches, unbroken, eternal. Let us do this now. Breathe deeply. Sit in stillness. Bring to mind a feeling that visits you often, be it anger, fear, longing, sorrow. Do not deny it. Welcome it. But say to it, "You are not who I am. You are energy passing through. I do not fuse with you. I do not name myself by you." Then say, "I am the soul. I am the calm inner sky. No cloud can define me." Breathe. This simple act of naming the soul instead of the emotion breaks the karmic repetition. It severs the link between past identification and present reaction. And with every breath that reaffirms your eternal self, the karmic spell weakens. You are not a bundle of moods. You are not a museum of past traumas. You are not a fragile self made of emotional shadows. You are the immortal witness, the child of God, the luminous self, undisturbed and eternal. And when you live from that truth, the old emotional cycle can no longer hold you. Beloved, the second sign that you are living the same life again is this. You keep attracting the same souls again and again. They may come in different forms, different names, different roles, but the emotional signature is hauntingly familiar. A friend who betrays you in the same way. A lover who evokes the same ache of abandonment. A parent, a partner, a stranger who awakens the same dance of approval, pain, or longing. These are not coincidences. These are not random occurrences. These are karmic echoes returning to offer you the very energy that remains unresolved within your field. You do not attract what you want. You attract what you are, energetically. And if the vibration of your inner being has not changed, if the core emotional wound or karmic memory remains, then life must keep sending you mirrors, not as punishment, but as invitation. God keeps whispering, will you finally meet this pattern with love instead of fear, with wisdom instead of reaction, with detachment instead of desire? Understand this. The souls you meet again and again are often contracted companions, returning to help you see what still binds you. Some come as gentle teachers, others come as fire, but all come to reflect some part of you back to yourself. And until you meet them from your divine center, rather than your past pain, they will keep reappearing, sometimes for lifetimes. The romantic soul may say, "I've found my soulmate," but more often the soul cries, "I've found my karmic echo." There is a difference. Soulmates awaken love. Karmic patterns awaken lessons, and love cannot be fully known until the lessons have been seen and released. So what do you do when you recognize the same soul, the same dynamic returning? You pause. You lift your gaze inward. You breathe. And you say, "This may look like someone new, but the vibration is old. I will not walk the same path. I will not speak the same words. I will not react from the old self." You bless the soul. You release attachment. You anchor your choices in the divine will, not the gravitational pull of emotion. Let us speak this now together. I see the pattern, but I do not repeat it. I honor the soul, but I choose the light. I release all karmic contracts that no longer serve my highest God union. Breathe. If a soul returns and you respond from ego, the karma continues. But if they return and you respond from stillness, the lesson is complete. Do not be seduced by familiarity. Do not be intoxicated by the echo of old energy. Instead, ask, does this connection lift me toward freedom or pull me into repetition? God will always send you people, but you must decide whether to use them for remembrance or for reenactment. You no longer need to relive the same dramas. You no longer need to re-enter the same emotional script. The cast may return, but the stage can be different if the director within you has awakened. Say it now. I choose new souls, or I meet old souls in new light. I no longer attract what wounded me. I attract what reminds me I am whole. And as you hold this vibration, the very souls you once clung to will either rise with you or fade from your life with grace. Either way, the karma is complete. And now, my beloved, we arrive at one of the most hidden signs that you are repeating the same karmic cycle. You resist solitude and stillness, not because you dislike silence, but because deep within silence, the soul begins to remember. And when the soul remembers, the old self begins to tremble. It is not outer quiet you fear. It is what rises in the absence of distraction. It is what whispers in the pause between thoughts. For in the stillness of morning or the hush of midnight, the soul begins to reveal what karma has long tried to conceal. And you know this. That is why you fill your time. That is why you reach for noise. That is why you stay busy, even with good things. Because the moment you become still, you begin to feel the loop, and it hurts. But let me offer you a divine truth. What you feel in solitude is not punishment. It is purification. It is not loneliness. It is the death of the false self, the part of you that has clung to roles and patterns, identities and outcomes. It cannot survive in silence, because silence is the mirror where only truth is reflected. And when you behold your true self, the karmic self begins to dissolve. This is why the great saints withdrew, not to escape the world, but to transcend its repetition. In the cave, the forest, the ashram, they did not run from life. They ran into its source. And you too must find your inner cave. Even if it is 5 minutes in the morning, even if it is one breath before sleep, enter the silence, not to find peace, but to remember who you are without your story. When you become still, you allow God to speak. And when God speaks, karma must listen. Stillness is the fire in which karma melts. It is the furnace in which reaction loses its grip. It is the temple where you no longer need to act from the past because you are anchored in the eternal now. Do not be afraid of the feelings that rise in silence. Welcome them. Watch them. Offer them into the flame. Say, you are not me. You are echoes. I meet you in light. I release you in love. Now say this with me, not as a theory, but as a vow. I choose stillness even when it shakes me. I choose silence even when it reveals my patterns. In stillness, I do not disappear. I awaken. Breathe. You do not heal in noise. You do not transform in performance. You transform in the quiet gaze of God meeting itself within you. The repetition ends not with activity, but with stillness. That is why the ego resists it. That is why the soul seeks it. That is why I call you now, not into isolation, but into inner resurrection. Let this moment of stillness become your first step out of the karmic wheel. You will not be alone there. You will meet God. Dear soul, now hear me with the ears of your heart. You can step off the wheel. You were never condemned to suffer forever. You were not born to endlessly replay the same story through different costumes. You were sent here not to endure karma eternally, but to transcend it, to master it, to dissolve it through remembrance of your divine self. The wheel of samsara spins only as long as you forget you are not the wheel. The moment you remember you are the axle, the unmoving center, the witness untouched by motion, the spinning begins to slow, and soon it halts completely. This is not a fantasy of the mystic. It is the destiny of every soul, to remember and to be free. You are not a karmic victim. You are a child of God, sent not to suffer fate, but to awaken through it. Every moment you choose love over fear, stillness over reaction, God over desire, you burn lifetimes of repetition. This is why the great masters smile even in sorrow. They see karma as clay, not as chains. And you too must begin to mold your karma like clay in your divine hands. Say this now with breath and spine upright. I am not a pattern, I am presence. I am not karma, I am consciousness. I am not the loop, I am the light that ends it. This is no mere affirmation. This is an energetic declaration to the astral world. When you speak with the authority of your divine origin, the karmic forces begin to realign. Circumstances shift. Old energies dissipate. Synchronicities appear. Because the universe is no longer reacting to your past, it is now responding to your true vibration. Even a small act of spiritual clarity, one moment of stillness in place of anger, one prayer instead of a complaint, creates a rupture in the wheel. It's like striking a bell whose tone echoes across dimensions. And the more you strike that bell, the more karma begins to loosen its grip, like winter releasing the branch under the first warmth of spring. Remember, the wheel does not turn by itself. It is turned by your unconscious repetition, and the wheel stops when you stop giving it momentum. With every breath aligned to your soul, you slow it. With every prayer, you weaken its pull. With every act of love, you step further from the loop and closer to the light. Let me give you an image. Picture yourself walking through a great spiral staircase. At each turn, you see the same view, but one day you stop, you breathe, you rise one step higher, and suddenly the same view looks different. Not because the world changed, but because you elevated your perception. That is what spiritual confidence is. Not pride, not arrogance, but the divine certainty that you can ascend, that you can break the spell, that you can, in this very life, through this very breath, in lifetimes of unconscious momentum. Say it now, softly but with conviction. I walk in freedom. I breathe in God. I live outside the loop. I no longer repeat. I realign. Breathe. This is who you are. You are not history. You are His story, God's story of awakening, playing out now, through your eyes, through your voice, through your soul. You can step off the wheel, and by doing so, you become a lighthouse to others still caught in the spin. Beloved, now that the wheel has been seen for what it is, not fate, but forgotten momentum, let me give you the daily tools, the divine instruments with which to anchor your soul beyond karma. To live not as a creature of reaction, but as a radiant expression of divine freedom. These practices are not difficult, but they require inner bravery, the courage to act from your divine center, even when your past pulls like a tide. Each morning before the world touches you, before the phone calls and the tasks and the habits reawaken, sit in silence. Light a candle if you wish, or simply place your hands together at the heart and say, I am not yesterday, I am not memory, I am not repetition, I am God's remembrance, rising anew. Let that be your first karma of the day. Let that be your first breath, not a breath pulled by fear, but a breath guided by the soul. Then choose one pattern, a reaction, a thought, a habit, that you know has followed you from the past. Look it in the eye, smile at it, and speak to it softly. You are familiar, but I do not serve you. I serve freedom. Do not try to destroy it. Do not fight it. That only gives it life. Instead, witness it. And in that act of witnessing, the pattern loses power. If pain arises, bless it. If anger flares, pause. If desire pulls, breathe. These are not failures. These are invitations. Each one a gate through which you pass, leaving the old self behind. And above all, speak the mantra that rewrites karma. I am the soul. I am not the loop. I am the soul. I am not the loop. Repeat it throughout the day, not in anxiety, but in identity. Let the spine rise. Let the gaze lift. Let the breath become prayer. Each time you act from soul instead of self, you dismantle lifetimes. Each time you choose light over story, you become the author of a new divine chapter. This is inner bravery, not loud, not dramatic, but steady, luminous, God-directed. And if you stumble, do not grieve. Return to breath. Return to stillness. Begin again. Say now, I do not fear my karma. I dissolve it through divine attention. Each breath I take is a new soul print on this earth. Breathe. You are not here to cope with your karma. You are here to transcend it, not with effort, but with alignment, not with striving, but with truth. And when you walk through life with this awareness, karma no longer hunts you. It kneels before you. It bows to the soul that has remembered its divine origin. And now, beloved, we arrive at the sacred seal, the moment where breath, intention, and remembrance converge into a single soul command. This is not an ending. This is a soul vow, written not in words but in vibration. For karmic repetition is not broken by drama or desire, but by a single breath anchored in truth. Let this be that breath. Close your eyes now if you feel called. Let your spine rise like the sacred mountain. Let your hands rest open, the palms a symbol of divine receptivity. Let the gaze lift slightly to the seat of intuition, and now with the voice of eternity, not the voice of your old life, but the voice of God within you, say, I am not the repetition, I am the revelation. I am not the past echo, I am the present light. I do not orbit the wheel, I dissolve the wheel through remembrance. Breathe. Now say, I walk forward, not as the self who once forgot, but as the soul who remembers. I remember now. This is the vow. This is the decree that becomes a magnet for a new life, not by forcing change, but by returning to your divine vibration. The universe cannot ignore one who speaks with the voice of the soul. Now I ask you, as a sacred act, not as a comment, but as a public vow, write this below. I am the soul. I remember now. Let those who read it feel the ripple of remembrance in their own spine. Let it awaken others. Let it create a karmic rupture through which grace flows like light into this world. And if this message touched you, if somewhere in your heart you felt the ancient recognition, the divine chord being struck, then share it. Not to spread my voice, but to awaken your own. Share it as a bell of remembrance, ringing through the dream of karma. You are not alone. You were never meant to live the same life forever. You came here not to repeat. You came here to resurrect. And you just did. Return now, again and again, to this breath, this truth, this vow, and walk forward as one who walks outside the wheel. I am with you. God is with you. And now your soul is with you too. Beloved soul, have you ever glanced at a clock only to find the numbers 11? 11 shining back at you, not once or twice, but so often that you felt it could no longer be mere chance? Perhaps you have walked down a street and noticed the same pattern on a passing sign, or received a message stamped with this sequence of numbers, stirring within you a quiet wonder. Why do I keep seeing this? What is it that the universe, or perhaps God himself, is trying to tell me? You are not alone, for countless seekers have felt the same pull, sensing an unseen hand gently nudging their awareness with this numerical whisper. And yet, without understanding its divine meaning, many brush it aside as coincidence or superstition, never knowing that such moments are sacred invitations-steiny portals through which spirit reaches out to awaken your remembrance of the eternal truth. From the beginning of time, beloved, the divine has spoken to its children through signs and symbols. Long before languages were formed, numbers and rhythms carried the pulse of cosmic intelligence. For numbers are not inventions of man but expressions of the divine order woven into creation itself. Yogananda often taught that mathematics is not merely a mental science but a reflection of God's thought, a silent language of spirit encoded in everything from the arrangement of stars to the beating of your heart. When you see 11, you are glimpsing a crack in the veil of Maya moment when the finite world hints at its infinite source, reminding you that you are not a wandering shadow lost in chaos, but a radiant soul guided by a higher power who never ceases to communicate with you. Do not dismiss it, beloved. These signs do not come by accident. They come in times of transition, in moments of spiritual yearning, when divine guidance wishes to draw you closer to your own higher self. 11. 11 is not merely a pattern on a digital screen. It is a call to wakefulness, a divine whisper saying, look up from the slumber of ordinary thought and see that heaven walks beside you. Today, let us journey together into the hidden science of this number to understand why Spirit chooses this simple yet profound symbol to stir your soul and to learn how you can respond to these moments in a way that opens your consciousness to miracles beyond imagination. Beloved soul, to understand the meaning of 11, we must first enter the sacred understanding of numbers as more than symbols scribbled on paper. Numbers are living vibrations. They are the harmonics of divine thought itself. Every number holds within it a particular frequency, a spiritual resonance that shapes not only mathematics but the very structure of the universe. When the infinite conceived creation, it did so through patterns of sound, light, and proportion through the eternal dance of numbers that bind galaxies together and guide the growth of a single blade of grass. Yogananda taught that numbers, like musical notes, are expressions of a greater cosmic melody, each one reflecting an aspect of God's consciousness. The number 1 represents unity, the primal truth, that beneath all diversity there is only one spirit. 2 reflects duality, the cosmic interplay of opposites born from that oneness. And so it is with every number. They are archetypes, divine ideas crystallized into the forms we see. This is why the ancient sages saw mathematics as sacred, why they spoke of numerology not as superstition but as a science of understanding the vibrational blueprint of life itself. Now imagine the sequence 11. 11, a perfect mirroring, a duplication of the number 1, appearing not haphazardly but aligned like 4 luminous pillars of light. This is not a random event but a precise convergence of vibrational meaning. It is as if the universe pauses in that moment to draw a perfect line through the fabric of time, reminding you of unity within multiplicity, of spirit within matter, of the eternal soul within the fleeting human experience. When this number calls to you repeatedly, it is as though the cosmic intelligence is sending a message directly into your awareness. Remember the oneness from which you came. Return to me. Numbers are one of heaven's languages because they bypass the noise of human chatter. Words can be misunderstood, but numbers are universal, unchanging, and pure. To see a repeating number, especially 11, 11 is to receive a divine telegram delivered not in speech but in vibration. The moment you notice it, your consciousness is lifted, even if subtly, into alignment with a higher truth. You feel a strange stillness, as if time itself bows to let you glimpse eternity. This is the moment to pause, breathe, and listen not with your ears, but with the inner faculty of the soul that knows beyond thought that God is calling. In this light, 11 is no longer a curiosity. It is a reminder that numbers are not merely human tools but divine bridges, connecting your finite perception to the infinite reality humming beneath every heartbeat of creation. Beloved soul, when you repeatedly encounter 11, it is not simply a sign of numerical symmetry. It is a gentle yet powerful signal that the process of spiritual awakening has begun or is deepening within you. In the quiet stillness of your inner life, something is stirring a longing to rise above the distractions of worldly existence, a whisper from your eternal self urging you to remember why you have come to this earth. Many dismiss these moments as coincidence, yet in truth, there are no coincidences in a universe woven by divine intelligence. Everything is guided, every sign is intentional. Seeing 11 is like hearing the toll of a celestial bell that only your soul recognizes. It is Spirit's way of saying, "Awaken, beloved." The time has come to lift your gaze from the dust of material illusions and remember the light from which you are born. This is why you often notice this number during moments of quiet reflection, times of decision, or even periods of emotional turbulence, because your soul is calling you to rise higher, to realign with your true purpose, to open the gates of perception beyond the confines of ordinary thought. Yogananda often reminded his disciples that divine guidance rarely arrives with fanfare. It whispers through intuition, subtle feelings, and synchronistic signs meant to catch the attention of a restless mind. In the same way that a tuning fork vibrates when struck by a note of the same frequency, the number 11 resonates with your soul's readiness to awaken. It is not meant to frighten you or lead you into superstition. It is meant to comfort you with the truth that you are not alone, that unseen forces of divine love are quietly supporting you, reminding you of the higher journey you are meant to take. When spiritual awakening begins, the outer world starts to mirror the inner call. You become more sensitive to patterns, more aware of synchronicities that once seemed invisible. Repeating numbers like 11 are part of this mirroring, a reflection of your consciousness stepping out of mechanical living and into a dance with the divine. To see it is to be reminded that you are more than flesh and circumstance. You are a soul awakening in God's cosmic dream, guided by signals from realms beyond the physical. Each time you notice 11, pause and silently affirm, I am awake in spirit. I remember my divine origin. I walk now toward my highest self. Let this number be a sacred bell, not just to catch your attention, but to lift your awareness into the silent sanctuary where God has been waiting for you to return since the dawn of your soul's journey. Beloved soul, as you begin to awaken spiritually, you will notice that life ceases to feel like a string of random events and instead reveals itself as a finely orchestrated symphony, each note perfectly timed, each moment perfectly placed by divine intelligence. Seeing 11 is part of this orchestration. It is a sign of synchronicity, a heavenly assurance that you are not drifting aimlessly through existence, but are being guided, moment by moment, by a presence far wiser than the human mind can comprehend. Synchronicity is not merely chance coincidence. It is the hidden language of spirit speaking to you through meaningful patterns in time and space. The great masters understood this deeply. They knew that every meeting, every challenge, every unexpected turn on the path was part of a divine choreography meant to teach, to guide, to awaken. When Yogananda walked the earth, those around him often marveled at how perfectly aligned events seemed to unfold, students arriving at just the right moment, obstacles dissolving as if moved by unseen hands. He taught that when the soul begins to attune itself to higher consciousness, divine timing reveals itself everywhere, as if heaven and earth conspire to lead you toward truth. 11 is one of these signals of divine timing. Its appearance often coincides with moments of transition, decision, or contemplation. Perhaps you have felt stuck or uncertain, praying for a sign that you are on the right path. Then, without expectation, your eyes are drawn to this number, and something inside you feels reassured. This is not the mind playing tricks, it is the cosmic current aligning your awareness with a subtle message. Yes, beloved soul, you are exactly where you need to be. Trust the unfolding of divine will. When you encounter synchronicity, especially repeating numbers like 11, pause for a moment and offer gratitude to the unseen guidance directing your life. Silently say, I trust the timing of spirit. I release fear and walk with faith, knowing that heaven aligns each step of my journey. In that stillness, you may even feel a shift, a lightness of heart, a quiet knowing that your prayers have been heard and your path illuminated. Beloved, divine timing is not something you must struggle to control. It is something you must surrender to. When you see 11, it is heaven's way of whispering that the divine plan is already at work, moving you toward growth, love, and realization far beyond what your limited vision can foresee. It is an invitation to relax into trust, to see that the universe is not chaotic but divinely synchronized with the rhythm of your soul's awakening. Beloved soul, to truly grasp the meaning of 11, you must understand the deeper symbolism of the number 1 and its repetition, as revealed through the wisdom of yoga and divine mathematics. In the eternal teachings, the number 1 represents unity, the primal essence of all existence, the undivided reality from which every particle of creation emanates. When you see a single 1, it is the silent reminder that despite the countless forms and appearances in the world, everything is woven from the same fabric of spirit. There is only one life, one truth, one eternal self expressing itself through infinite diversity. When the number is doubled, as in 11, it takes on a profound new resonance. It speaks of duality, seeking reunion with oneness. It is the mirrored reflection of two souls awakening to their divine origin, or the journey of the human consciousness aligning itself with the higher self. In yoga, this alignment is symbolized by the two main energy currents in the spine, the Ida and Pingala, which, when harmonized, allow the awakened prana to flow upward through the Sushumna, leading the soul into union with spirit. Seeing 11 repeatedly is a sign that this inner alignment is being called forth within you, that the dual forces of your life, light and shadow, earthly desires and divine aspirations are being guided toward unity in God. When 11 appears twice, as in 11, the message is magnified. It is as though heaven has placed before you 4 pillars of light, representing not only unity and alignment, but also the building of a spiritual gateway. Yogis speak of divine portals opening within consciousness moments when the veil between human perception and spiritual truth grows thin. 11. 11 is one such portal, a vibrational code that signals you are standing on sacred ground, poised to step more fully into the realization of your oneness with the infinite. In your spiritual journey, noticing 11. 11 may come during meditation, times of introspection, or even moments of worldly activity when your mind is briefly still. This is no accident. It is Spirit gently reminding you, beloved soul, remember who you are. You are not two, not divided. You are one with me, one with all creation. Align your thoughts, breath, and will with this truth, and you will taste freedom. Pause when you see this number and silently affirm, I am one with God. I am one with all souls. Duality dissolves in divine unity. Allow this affirmation to rise not only in words, but as a feeling in your heart, a quiet merging of your little self with the vast ocean of spirit that has always been your true home. Beloved soul, now that you understand how 11 reflects unity and divine alignment, let us journey deeper into the mystical presence that often accompanies these sacred moments. When you see 11, it is not only a silent message from the universe, it is frequently a sign that beings of light guardian angels, guiding spirits, and even liberated masters are drawing near to you. Though unseen by physical eyes, their influence is as real as sunlight warming your skin or the fragrance of a flower carried by an invisible breeze. Yogananda spoke often of the subtle assistance offered by advanced souls and cosmic intelligences. He explained that God never leaves his children alone to stumble blindly through the maze of Maya. Rather, he sends messengers of light angels in the astral worlds and self-realized masters in physical or subtle forms to guide, protect, and lift sincere seekers. These luminous beings move through the currents of divine law, shaping circumstances, sending inspirations, and at times using symbols like repeating numbers to catch your attention and awaken your receptivity. When 11 appears before you, pause and inwardly open your heart. It is often in these moments that a master may be silently blessing you, or a guardian angel is leaning close, whispering reassurance that your prayers have been heard. The sequence acts as a subtle code, allowing divine helpers to signal their nearness without disturbing the natural flow of your daily life. You might feel a sudden calm, a softening of anxiety, or a warmth in the heart that seems to have no earthly cause. These are the gentle touches of Spirit's invisible hands. To strengthen this connection, offer gratitude when you see this sign. Silently say, beloved angels, beloved masters, I thank you for your unseen guidance. I open my heart to your wisdom. Lead me ever closer to God. This prayer, even whispered silently in thought, sends out a magnetic call that allows divine helpers to work more freely in your life. As your devotion deepens, you may even begin to sense specific guidance, intuitive nudges, comforting visions, or dreams that feel like sacred meetings with luminous beings. Beloved, never doubt that you are surrounded by love greater than the human mind can fathom. Every 11 is a reminder that unseen friends of spirit walk beside you, lighting the way, celebrating your steps toward awakening, and urging you ever upward toward the ultimate reunion with God. Beloved soul, when you encounter the number 11, it is not only a sign of divine presence and unity, but also a direct invitation to enter into stillness, a spiritual portal opening in that very moment to draw you inward toward communion with Spirit. Numbers, as we have seen, are living vibrations, and when they align in such perfect symmetry, the flow of divine energy becomes especially potent. This is why many feel a sudden pause in their thoughts when noticing 11, as though time itself has momentarily stopped and something sacred is being whispered to the soul. In yoga and meditation, gateways to higher consciousness are not physical doors but subtle shifts in awareness, where the veil of illusion thins and the presence of God becomes easier to feel. 11 functions in much the same way. At that instant, your mind, body, and environment harmonize with a higher vibration, and if you respond with stillness rather than distraction, you can step through this invisible doorway into deeper attunement with your higher self. When you see 11, stop for just a moment. Close your eyes if possible and take a long, slow breath. Feel the inhale as divine energy entering your being, rising like a stream of light through the spine toward the spiritual eye between the eyebrows. Hold that breath gently, allowing your awareness to settle into a silent, expansive calm. As you exhale, release all tension, fear, and worldly concerns into the infinite light of spirit. In that brief yet sacred pause, silently say, "Beloved God, I am here. Reveal thyself within me." This simple act, done each time you notice the number, transforms fleeting synchronicity into a powerful spiritual practice. Over time, you will notice that these moments feel like stepping into a sanctuary beyond time and space, a meditation gateway, where divine guidance, inner peace, and intuitive wisdom flow more easily into your awareness. In truth, these portals are always available. But 11 is Spirit's gentle way of drawing your attention to them, reminding you to step out of mechanical living and enter into conscious connection with the divine. Beloved, treat each appearance of this sacred number as if an unseen master is ringing a silent bell, calling you to meditate, to align, and to listen inwardly to the eternal voice of Spirit that speaks without words in the sanctuary of your soul. Beloved soul, another divine message hidden within the repeated appearance of 11. 11 is the assurance that your karma and destiny are aligning with a higher purpose. Karma, as Yogananda taught, is not a punishment or an arbitrary force. It is the perfect law of cause and effect that guides each soul through experiences necessary for awakening. Every action, every thought, every desire sends out ripples into the universe that eventually return to you, shaping the circumstances of your life, not by accident, but as stepping stones towards spiritual evolution. When you see 11, it is often a sign that these ripples of karma are converging harmoniously, preparing you for a turning point or an opportunity for divine progress. It is as though Spirit is saying, "Beloved soul, do not fear the path ahead. Your actions, prayers, and aspirations are coming into alignment with my will. What was once fragmented is now drawing together into the oneness of divine order." This synchronicity acts as a reminder that even when life feels uncertain, a higher intelligence is weaving every thread into a tapestry of growth and liberation. Yogananda often described how destiny is not fixed, but shaped by the evolving consciousness of the soul. Through meditation, devotion, and attunement to divine guidance, karma can be purified and transformed, altering the course of your destiny toward greater freedom and joy. Seeing 11 can be an indication that this purification is already underway, that your inner efforts, even those you have forgotten, are bearing fruit, aligning you with pathways that lead closer to God. In moments when this number appears during times of decision or confusion, pause and silently pray, "Divine Spirit, guide me to act in harmony with thy will. Let my karma be purified by thy light, and let my destiny unfold according to thy perfect plan." Trust that this prayer is heard instantly, for heaven listens most closely in moments when your heart opens to guidance. Beloved, there is no coincidence in the unfolding of your life. Every joy, every challenge, every moment you glimpse this sacred number is part of a divine design, crafted to awaken your soul and lead you steadily back to the eternal source from which you came. To see 11 is to be reminded that karma is not a chain but a bridge on that, when crossed with faith and divine alignment, carries you into the freedom and bliss of God. Realization. Beloved soul, every divine sign carries with it not only meaning but also a call to action, a way for you to consciously engage with the blessing being offered. When you repeatedly see 11, Spirit is not merely delivering a message. It is inviting you to respond, to transform a fleeting moment of recognition into a living connection with the divine. Without this response, the sign may pass like a wave unrecognized, but with conscious engagement, it becomes a spiritual practice that magnetizes grace and guidance into your life. The simplest response is to pause. Still your mind for just a breath, for just a moment, and let awareness lift from mundane thought into silent reverence. Close your eyes gently and inhale with the inner thought, "I receive thy light." Hold that breath softly, feeling divine energy shimmering through your being, and as you exhale, release all distractions with the thought, "I merge with thy presence." This brief act alone turns an ordinary sighting into an act of meditation, a portal through which you step closer to God. Yogananda often recommended the use of affirmations and mantras to align the subconscious with divine truth. When you see 11, 11, silently repeat a sacred phrase such as, I am one with thee, O Spirit, guide my thoughts, guide my steps. Or you may simply chant mentally the holy vibration AUM, letting it reverberate within the spiritual eye, cleansing and uplifting your consciousness. In time, this practice conditions your mind and heart to respond automatically to the divine call hidden within these numbers. You can also use this moment to send out blessings. Imagine beams of light streaming from your heart to loved ones, to those in need, or to the entire world. The symmetry of 11. 11 symbolizes not only unity with God but also your potential to become a channel of divine grace for others. Each time this number appears, let it be a cue to remember your higher role, a soul born to reflect and share the light of spirit. Beloved, practical spirituality is not about grand rituals or long hours of effort. It is about bringing divine awareness into the smallest details of life. To pause, to breathe, to affirm truth when the clock strikes 11. 11 is to weave heaven's presence into earthly time. This is how miracles begin not as dramatic events, but as gentle openings of the heart, allowing divine guidance to pour into your life moment by moment. Beloved soul, as we come to the close of this sacred journey into the meaning of 11, 11, let your heart rest in the quiet understanding that nothing in this vast, divinely woven universe is random. Each moment you have glanced upon this number has been a whispered reminder from Spirit, a spark of light breaking through the clouds of forgetfulness, calling you to remember that you are not separate, you are not lost, you are a radiant soul, eternally guided by the hand of the divine. You now know that 11. 11 is not simply a curious pattern, it is a cosmic code, a spiritual gateway, a divine bell ringing softly through time to awaken you. It speaks of unity in God, of synchronicity that assures you of perfect guidance, of unseen masters and angels walking beside you, of portals opening for meditation and inner alignment. It is a sign that your karma is being purified, your destiny aligned, and that Spirit itself is leaning close, saying, Beloved, walk with me. Let go of fear and remember you are mine. Each time you see this number from this day forward, let it not pass unnoticed. Pause and breathe, even if for a moment. Whisper within, I am one with thee. Guide my every step. Let this number become a personal mantra, transforming ordinary moments into sacred encounters with the infinite. Through these small acts of remembrance, you will find clarity dawning in your life, intuition guiding your choices, and divine presence felt as never before. Let us end now in silent blessing. Close your eyes gently, lift your gaze inward to the spiritual eye, and inhale the light of Spirit. Hold it tenderly in your heart and exhale slowly, releasing all burdens. Silently affirm, Beloved God, through every sign, through every breath, I feel thy presence guiding me. I am one with thee now and forevermore. Feel now a radiant current of divine peace surrounding you, as though unseen masters stand beside you, offering their silent support. Trust this guidance, beloved. From this day forward, 11. 11 will no longer be a mystery or coincidence. It will be a holy signal, a bridge connecting your earthly journey to the eternal embrace of God's infinite love and wisdom. If you have found yourself glancing at the clock and always seeing the same number, if the same sequence keeps appearing on license plates, receipts, phone numbers, or addresses, if you've ever wondered why this subtle pattern keeps following you, haunting you, whispering to you just beneath the noise of your ordinary day, then listen closely. You are not delusional. You are not imagining it. You are not being irrational or paranoid or mystical for no reason. You are being called. Yes, called not by a voice from the clouds, but by a frequency from your soul. What you are seeing, when the same number repeats itself in your experience, is not random. It is not mere coincidence. It is not a trick of memory or attention. It is a divine invitation, a knock on the inner door of remembrance, a gentle alarm from the soul saying, Wake up, look deeper. The unseen is speaking through the seen. This, dear one, is the beginning of sacred decoding. So many dismiss it. So many tell themselves, it's just a number. It's just my imagination. But the soul does not imagine. The soul recognizes. It does not hallucinate, it remembers. And these repeating numbers, these echoes from the unseen, are not messages from outside your life, they are messages from within your life, sent ahead of you by your own soul, placed like divine breadcrumbs to lead you back to the truth. Let me tell you now, every soul that begins to awaken, to rise out of the fog of unconscious living, to break through the noise of material conditioning, every such soul will begin to experience the world as a mirror. The outer begins to reflect the inner. The language of spirit begins to speak through symbol, pattern, and timing. Numbers are not inert. They are not neutral. They are frequencies of vibration. And when they repeat, it means your vibration is being addressed. It is like a spiritual knock code one that only your soul can recognize. Others may not see it. Others may laugh. But for you, it lands. It resonates. It repeats. Why? Because the veil between your intellect and your intuition is thinning. Because your soul is growing louder than your ego. Because your divine memory is stirring, and the symbols of the universe are beginning to respond to your readiness. Imagine you are in a vast cosmic temple, and the bells begin to chimino randomly. But as a direct response to the movement of your awareness, each number you see is not the cause of something magical. It is the confirmation that something sacred is already occurring within you. You are not being hunted by numbers. You are being remembered by light. The number is not the message. It is the messenger. It is a carrier of vibration, a fingerprint of divine presence. And when you see it, you are being asked to pause, to feel, to listen not to the number itself, but to what part of your soul is awakening in that moment. Do not reduce it to superstition. Do not decorate it with drama. Simply receive it as a signpost. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are not forgotten. You are being called home. So I ask you now, what number keeps showing itself to you? What sequence has followed you like a shadow of light? What vibration has been circling you, waiting for your acknowledgement? Whatever it is, know this. You are not crazy. You are being called, not by the world, not by chance, but by the higher intelligence within you, the part that remembers its divine origin and is ready to rise. And if you are ready, then say this quietly with me. Even now, I receive the sign. I open to the meaning. I welcome the call. I am not confused. I am being remembered. This is how it begins. Not with explanation, but with awe. Not with logic, but with recognition. Not with facts, but with faith that feels like truth. You're not seeing the number again. The number is seeing you. The greatest error of modern man is the belief that the universe is dead empty space, filled with random motion, governed by impersonal laws, silent and indifferent. But this is not what the ancient rishis knew. This is not what I have seen in the stillness of samadhi. The truth, which your soul has always known and your heart longs to remember, is that the universe is not a machine. It is not a backdrop. It is not a neutral field of chance occurrences. It is a living intelligence, conscious, responsive, vibrationally aware. It breathes with the breath of God. It pulses with divine will. It listens when you think, and it answers when you align. This entire creation, every wave of light, every gust of wind, every rotation of the stars, a play of spirit, an intricate dance of vibrating energy flowing from the infinite consciousness. And in this sacred dance, there is nothing meaningless. There is no such thing as just a number, no such thing as just coincidence. All phenomena, when seen through the lens of spiritual vision, are symbolic reflections, vibrational messages encoded in the design of matter itself. Yogananda taught that creation is God's dream, and every dream symbol has meaning. What you see outside is not separate from you, is a projection of consciousness, sculpted by the interaction between your soul's readiness and the divine's guidance. In that dream, numbers become more than math. They become messages in light, signals in code, a sacred language of vibration. Think of it this way. Just as scripture speaks through words and nature speaks through beauty, so too does the cosmic mind speak through repetition, through patterns, through number. Numbers are not just quantities, they are archetypes. 1 is the vibration of unity. 2, the vibration of polarity. 3. The vibration of synthesis. Each number carries a subtle echo of a cosmic principle. And when that number appears repeatedly in your life, it is not coincidence, it is conversation. Imagine a musician striking a tuning fork. If a piano nearby has strings tuned to the same frequency, those strings will begin to vibrate in response even if untouched. That is resonance. And that is what happens when you begin seeing the same number over and over. Your inner frequency is coming into resonance with a cosmic message, and that message is being shown to you not once, but repeatedly, because you are being invited to listen with new eyes. It is the divine calling your attention not by shouting, but by echoing, not by controlling, but by vibrational invitation. And here lies the mystery. The number you see is not being imposed upon your life, it is emerging from your own soul's vibration. You are magnetizing it. You are drawing it into form. You are calling it forth through the doorway of awareness. The universe does not speak at you, speaks with you, through you. That is why Yogananda said, "You are a child of the infinite, encoded with the memory of the one. You carry within you the same intelligence that designed galaxies, breathed life into stars, and carved the human soul from divine light. When that intelligence begins to awaken, the outer world begins to shimmer with meaning. Numbers start to speak. Patterns begin to emerge. Timing becomes sacred. Life is no longer a series of unrelated events, it becomes a living scripture, and you are both the reader and the author. So if the number keeps appearing, take it not as a novelty, but as a sign of awakening. It means the veil is thinning. The silence is breaking. The divine is not far. The divine is whispering through numbers, through timing, through alignment, inviting you to see that you are not wandering aimlessly, you are being guided in a language older than words. Say this with me now, not as a chant, but as a remembering. The universe is alive. The signs are sacred. I am not random. I am in divine conversation. Every number you see is proof that God is not distant. He is dancing in your timeline. He is arranging the signs. He is speaking through the geometry of grace. And your soul, your real self, is finally beginning to understand the language. When the same number follows you appearing again and again on clocks, receipts, addresses, page numbers, digital timestamps, it is not simply nudging your curiosity. It is not asking for your attention only. It is inviting your soul into a threshold of remembrance. Each repeating number is not just an echo from without, it is a mirror from within, revealing that you are nearing a moment of vibrational alignment, a point in the river where your destiny meets your readiness. These numbers are cosmic signposts, quietly announcing, you are in proximity to something sacred. Pay attention not to what is around you, but what is rising within you. Let us understand something clearly. Repeating numbers are not fortune-telling. They are not predictions. They are not magical portents that declare what will happen to you. They are vibrational markers like ripples in a field showing you that the frequency of your inner awareness has matched the frequency of a higher law or a sacred moment. They are alignment cues. The outer world is saying, right here, right now, your soul is brushing up against a truth. You are standing at the edge of a doorway, not one made of bricks, but one made of awareness. And when you walk through it, something subtle but irreversible begins to unfold. Let me explain it in the language of metaphor. Imagine that you are a traveler walking through a vast forest. You don't know the way, but you trust the path. Along the trail, you begin to notice small white stones placed not by chance, but by the hands of one who walked before you. Each time you see a stone, your heart feels a flicker of certainty. I'm on the right path. The more stones you see, the more confident your step becomes. Repeating numbers are these white stones. Not final destinations, but confirmations of alignment. They are not the answer, but they tell you, you are close to it. This is why the soul often begins to see them in seasons of change, when you are considering a new relationship, or stepping into a new purpose, or feeling a restlessness that cannot be explained by logic. The number appears as if to say, yes, something sacred is stirring, keep going. Stay awake. It is your own higher self leaving signals in your timeline, timed with precision, wrapped in silence, waiting for the moment you would open your eyes wide enough to see. Let us look at a few examples, not to define them dogmatically, but to feel their vibrational flavor. 111. This is the signal of initiation, a beginning, the number of singular focus and spiritual wakefulness. When you see 111, it means you are standing at the edge of a new cycle, and your intention is forming the architecture of what will come. 222. This is the number of balance, partnership, and trust. When it appears, it often asks you to trust the divine orchestration of people, timing, and unseen guidance. It is the breath between the inhale and the exhale. 333. This is a powerful spiritual activation number often connected to the trinity of body, mind, and soul. It carries the resonance of inner guidance, often whispering, "You are not alone. Christ consciousness walks beside you." 444. This number is a foundation number, a stabilizer, a spiritual protector. When it shows up, you are being reminded that angels, guides, and unseen forces are fortifying your path. But remember, beloved, the number does not carry meaning outside of your state of being. It is not the number that gives you truth, it is you who magnetize the number through your own inner movement. It appears when you are vibrating close to a choice, a shift, a realization. So ask yourself when the number appears, what am I about to choose? What am I ignoring? What am I finally ready to step into? Do not fixate on definitions. Fixate on presence. The numbers are not answers. They are invitations. They are the divine saying, "I'm here. I'm listening. Come into the stillness and I will speak through your intuition." Let us pause here and breathe. Feel the energy of your own life. Feel the moment you last saw that number. Feel what part of your soul was awake in that moment. Speak now, softly within. When I see the number, I return to presence. When I see the sign, I step into trust. I do not chase meaning, I open to it. I do not fear the unknown. I walk toward it with God. The number will appear again not to convince you, but to accompany you, to remind you, to reveal the light you already carry. Why do we so often ignore the most sacred signals until they have screamed through silence again and again? Why does it take the same number appearing a dozen times before we finally pause and wonder if something divine is speaking through it? The answer is not that the message was absent. It is that we were not present enough to perceive it. You see, the messages from Spirit are rarely loud. They do not clamor for attention like the ego. They do not demand or frighten. They whisper. They ripple. They echo. And only when the surface of the mind is calm can the deeper symbols of life rise and be felt. It is the false self, the constructed identity of habits, fears, logic, and control that blocks the soul's perception of signs. The false self does not believe in divine timing. It worships efficiency. It mistrusts intuition. It sees repeating numbers as coincidence, dismissing them as tricks of the eye or the brain. Why? Because to acknowledge the sacred would be to relinquish control. To accept that something higher is speaking would mean that something higher knows more than the mind. And for the ego, this is intolerable. And yet, beneath all the dismissals, something in you has always known. Something stirs when the number appears again. Something flickers inside, like a light trying to shine through a fogged window. That something is your soul, the true self. It knows the signs. It never forgot them. But for so long, the static of the world has drowned them out. You were trained to ignore the soft language of Spirit. Trained to favor data over depth, speed over silence, proof over presence. It is not that the numbers weren't speaking to you in years past. They were. But your life was too loud, your breath too shallow, your gaze too distracted. The divine was knocking, but your attention was elsewhere. And that is not your fault, it is the condition of modern humanity. But the fact that you're here now, reading this, listening, feeling this moment, that is proof that your soul has grown stronger than the noise. You're not late, you're ready. And that readiness is why the numbers are showing up more often. Because now, the soil has been tilled. The field of your awareness has become fertile ground for the seeds of symbolic wisdom to take root. What once seemed like chance now feels like guidance. What once was brushed off now glows with quiet certainty. This is not imagination, this is recognition. You are not creating the signs. You are finally seeing what was always there. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a storm. The whisper has always been there, but the wind, the thunder, the fear, the distraction, it drowned it out. You leaned in, but the noise was too great. So the whisper repeated itself. Again and again. Not louder, but with more presence. And now, the storm is finally fading. Your inner winds have calmed, and what was once imperceptible is now unmistakable. That's what's happening when the number appears again. Not for the first time, but for the first time with your full awareness. So forgive yourself for missing it, celebrate yourself for seeing it now, and promise yourself that you will not return to unconsciousness. This is the turning, this is the threshold. Speak with me now, not loudly, but inwardly, as if affirming it to your deepest being. I missed it before, but I see it now. I was asleep, but I am waking. I do not judge the past. I walk in the light of now. I trust what the signs are showing me. The signs were never hidden. You were never unworthy. You were simply not yet still enough to hear. But now the stillness has come. And the divine, who never stops speaking, smiles in quiet joy. You're listening now. To the ego, numbers are lifeless. They are used to count, to categorize, to quantify. They measure days, dollars, distance as symbols of utility and control. But to the soul, numbers are not mere units. They are frequencies, vibrational signatures in the divine language of light. The ancients understood this. The yogis of old, immersed in silence and stillness, came to feel what modern man only calculates, that each number hums with a particular divine resonance, and when a number repeats itself in your life, it is not measuring something external, it is reflecting something internal. It is speaking to the spiritual posture your soul is moving into or being invited toward. And so, when a repeating number appears, it is not time to analyze, it is time to listen, to feel, to enter into communion with the vibration behind the form. Let me now share with you the hidden current flowing through some of the most commonly repeated number sequences. Not to offer fixed definitions because no symbol can be caged, but to give you a taste of the vibratory essence behind them, so that when they appear in your life, you may greet them not with mental grasping, but with soul-level recognition. 111. The Awakening Flame. When you see 111, know this. Something is beginning. A cycle is opening. Your thoughts are becoming potent architects. 111 is the call of singular intentiona, reminder that your inner frequency is shaping what you draw toward you. It whispers, choose your thoughts as prayers. The universe is listening. In this moment, your focus is a seed, and the soil of the cosmos is unusually receptive. 111 asks, what do you wish to initiate with your consciousness today? 222. The Sacred Balance. When 222 finds you, it does not shout. It soothes. It arrives in moments of tension, uncertainty, or duality, and offers a vibration of reassurance. It says, trust the unfolding, trust the connections, trust the waiting. This is the number of alignment, relationships, and balance between the inner and outer worlds. It tells you, you are not alone. The pattern is being woven even if you cannot yet see it. Let go of urgency. Enter into faith. 333. The Guiding Presence. This is the frequency of spiritual support, often arriving when your soul is asking for guidance, protection, or clarity. 333 is a divine triangle body. Mind, soul calling you back into harmony. It carries the Christ vibration, the master consciousness, the knowing that you are supported by unseen hands. It says, you are not doing this alone. Walk with your angels. Call on your higher guides. When you see 333, look not outwards, but upwards and inwards. 444. The Foundation of Light. This number is structure, safety, grounding, not in the physical alone, but in spiritual truth. 444 is the builder's number. When it appears, it often means that your foundation is strong, or that spirit is reinforcing it. It speaks in times of fatigue or doubt. You are protected. You are guided. Keep building. It is not glamorous. It is not dramatic. It is deeply reassuring. You are doing holy work, even when it feels invisible. 555. The Sacred Shift. When 555 circles into your awareness, Change is not coming, it is already here. This number signals transformation, inner or outer. It may be messy, it may feel like upheaval, but it is holy. 555 says, let go of the old. Your frequency is outgrowing what no longer matches. Don't cling, don't resist. This is the butterfly cracking from the cocoon. Something new wants to be born through you. 666. The recalibration. Often misunderstood, this number is not evil. It is a wake-up call. 666 appears when your focus has become too external, too material, too fear-based. It gently redirects your gaze inward, whispering, return to your center, come back to the soul. It is not punishment, it is recalibration, a reminder to root again in truth. 777. The divine alignment. This is the number of inner mastery, a message that you are in tune with higher truth, and your efforts are aligned with Dharma. 777 is a sign of spiritual progress. It says, keep walking, keep listening, the sacred is with you. Often seen after a deep surrender or a powerful realization, this number reflects the vibration of a soul walking in remembrance. 888. The cycle of completion. This is the number of karma fulfilled, cycles ending, abundance being rebalanced. When 888 appears, you are being shown that energy is returning, that what you have given is moving back toward you. It is the infinity loop, double divine law meeting divine grace. Breathe, receive. 999. The final doorway. This is the close of a chapter, the letting go, the death of an identity or story that no longer serves you. 999 is not loss, it is graduation. It tells you, make space. The next octave is coming. Honor what is ending. Bless it, and open your hands for what Spirit will place there next. But more important than any interpretation is this truth. The numbers speak most clearly not to the mind, but to the soul's intuitive knowing. When a number repeats in your life, do not rush to search for definitions. Instead, pause, breathe, ask inwardly, why now? What is stirring in me that this number mirrors? Say this now, as an invocation. Each number is a vibration. Each vibration is a message. Each message is a doorway. I receive the frequency. I welcome the light. The number is not your fate. It is your reflection. It is the music your soul has already begun to hum, and the universe is simply singing it back to you. It may seem as though the signs come from outside, from angels above, from the universe around, from coincidences placed by some hidden divine intelligence. And while all of that holds truth, the deeper revelation, the more liberating truth, is this. The signs are not merely sent to you, they are sent from you. From the deeper, radiant, unforgotten self that dwells beyond the noise of mind and time. The one who never fell asleep, even when the outer self wandered. The one who has watched you in compassion, in silence, in yearning, not judging your forgetting, but planting reminders in your path. The repeating number you see on the license plate, the digital clock, the receipt, the door, these are not random codes from the universe. They are messages planted by your own soul, set long before this moment, waiting for the exact vibration in you to awaken and remember. This is the divine paradox. The part of you that is asleep is also the part of you that awakens, but not without the help of the one who never slept. The soul is both sender and receiver. The outer you is the one who forgets. The inner you is the one who orchestrates the remembering. When the number appears again and again, it is not chasing you, it is calling you from the future you, the version of you that is already standing in light, already walking in truth, already breathing as the divine vibration it was made to embody. It is like a child sending letters to their older self, only to receive them years later with tears in their eyes, finally understanding what was once unreadable. That is what the soul does. It leaves messages, numbers, signals, symbols, knowing the conscious self won't see it yet, but trusting that one day you would become still enough, soft enough, open enough to ask, what does this mean? And in that question, the sacred remembering begins. The signs are not external validation. They are internal confirmation. Not proof that you are special, but proof that you are ready. The numbers do not create your awakening, they echo it, they mirror it. They appear more often not because the universe has changed, but because you have. You are vibrating at a level now where the symbols are louder, the veil is thinner, the soul's memory is closer to the surface. Yogananda said it clearly, "The soul knows all things, it only waits to be remembered." This knowing does not come through study, it does not come through intellectual effort, it comes through resonance. Through the subtle ache in the heart that says, "There is more to this moment than meets the eye." Through the flicker of awe that says, if you have found yourself glancing at the clock and always seeing the same number, if the same sequence keeps appearing on license plates, receipts, phone numbers, or addresses, if you've ever wondered why this subtle pattern keeps following you, haunting you, whispering to you just beneath the noise of your ordinary day, then listen closely. You are not delusional. You are not imagining it. You are not being irrational or paranoid or mystical for no reason. You are being called. Yes, called not by a voice from the clouds, but by a frequency from your soul. What you are seeing, when the same number repeats itself in your experience, is not random. It is not mere coincidence. It is not a trick of memory or attention. It is a divine invitation, a knock on the inner door of remembrance, a gentle alarm from the soul saying, "Wake up, look deeper. The unseen is speaking through the seen." This, dear one, is the beginning of sacred decoding. So many dismiss it. So many tell themselves, "It's just a number. It's just my imagination." But the soul does not imagine. The soul recognizes. It does not hallucinate, it remembers. And these repeating numbers, these echoes from the unseen, are not messages from outside your life, they are messages from within your life, sent ahead of you by your own soul, placed like divine breadcrumbs to lead you back to the truth. Let me tell you now, every soul that begins to awaken, to rise out of the fog of unconscious living, to break through the noise of material conditioning, every such soul will begin to experience the world as a mirror. The outer begins to reflect the inner. The language of spirit begins to speak through symbol, pattern, and timing. Numbers are not inert. They are not neutral. They are frequencies of vibration. And when they repeat, it means your vibration is being addressed. It is like a spiritual knock code one that only your soul can recognize. Others may not see it. Others may laugh. But for you, it lands. It resonates. It repeats. Why? Because the veil between your intellect and your intuition is thinning. Because your soul is growing louder than your ego. Because your divine memory is stirring, and the symbols of the universe are beginning to respond to your readiness. Imagine you are in a vast cosmic temple, and the bells begin to chimino randomly. But as a direct response to the movement of your awareness, each number you see is not the cause of something magical. It is the confirmation that something sacred is already occurring within you. You are not being hunted by numbers, you are being remembered by light. The number is not the message, it is the messenger. It is a carrier of vibration, a fingerprint of divine presence. And when you see it, you are being asked to pause, to feel, to listen not to the number itself, but to what part of your soul is awakening in that moment. Do not reduce it to superstition. Do not decorate it with drama. Simply receive it as a signpost. You are not alone, you are not lost, you are not forgotten, you are being called home. So I ask you now, what number keeps showing itself to you? What sequence has followed you like a shadow of light? What vibration has been circling you, waiting for your acknowledgement? Whatever it is, know this. You are not crazy. You are being called, not by the world, not by chance, but by the higher intelligence within you, the part that remembers its divine origin and is ready to rise. And if you are ready, then say this quietly with me. Even now, I receive the sign. I open to the meaning. I welcome the call. I am not confused, I am being remembered. This is how it begins. Not with explanation, but with awe. Not with logic, but with recognition. Not with facts, but with faith that feels like truth. You're not seeing the number again. The number is seeing you. The greatest error of modern man is the belief that the universe is dead empty space, filled with random motion, governed by impersonal laws, silent and indifferent. But this is not what the ancient rishis knew. This is not what I have seen in the stillness of samadhi. The truth, which your soul has always known and your heart longs to remember, is that the universe is not a machine. It is not a backdrop. It is not a neutral field of chance occurrences. It is a living intelligence, conscious, responsive, vibrationally aware. It breathes with the breath of God. It pulses with divine will. It listens when you think, and it answers when you align. This entire creation, every wave of light, every gust of wind, every rotation of the stars, a play of spirit, an intricate dance of vibrating energy flowing from the infinite consciousness. And in this sacred dance, there is nothing meaningless. There is no such thing as just a number, no such thing as just coincidence. All phenomena, when seen through the lens of spiritual vision, are symbolic reflections, vibrational messages encoded in the design of matter itself. Yogananda taught that creation is God's dream, and every dream symbol has meaning. What you see outside is not separate from you, is a projection of consciousness, sculpted by the interaction between your soul's readiness and the divine's guidance. In that dream, numbers become more than math. They become messages in light, signals in code, a sacred language of vibration. Think of it this way: just as scripture speaks through words and nature speaks through beauty, so too does the cosmic mind speak through repetition, through patterns, through number. Numbers are not just quantities, they are archetypes. 1 is the vibration of unity. 2, the vibration of polarity. 3, the vibration of synthesis. Each number carries a subtle echo of a cosmic principle. And when that number appears repeatedly in your life, it is not coincidence, it is conversation. Imagine a musician striking a tuning fork. If a piano nearby has strings tuned to the same frequency, those strings will begin to vibrate in response even if untouched. That is resonance. And that is what happens when you begin seeing the same number over and over. Your inner frequency is coming into resonance with a cosmic message, and that message is being shown to you not once, but repeatedly, because you are being invited to listen with new eyes. It is the divine calling your attention, not by shouting, but by echoing, not by controlling, but by vibrational invitation. And here lies the mystery. The number you see is not being imposed upon your life, it is emerging from your own soul's vibration. You are magnetizing it. You are drawing it into form. You are calling it forth through the doorway of awareness. The universe does not speak at you, speaks with you, through you. That is why Yogananda said, "You are a child of the infinite, encoded with the memory of the one. You carry within you the same intelligence that designed galaxies, breathed life into stars, and carved the human soul from divine light. When that intelligence begins to awaken, the outer world begins to shimmer with meaning. Numbers start to speak. Patterns begin to emerge. Timing becomes sacred. Life is no longer a series of unrelated events, it becomes a living scripture, and you are both the reader and the author. So if the number keeps appearing, take it not as a novelty, but as a sign of awakening. It means the veil is thinning. The silence is breaking. The divine is not far. The divine is whispering through numbers, through timing, through alignment, inviting you to see that you are not wandering aimlessly, you are being guided in a language older than words. Say this with me now, not as a chant, but as a remembering. The universe is alive. The signs are sacred. I am not random. I am in divine conversation. Every number you see is proof that God is not distant. He is dancing in your timeline. He is arranging the signs. He is speaking through the geometry of grace. And your soul, your real self, is finally beginning to understand the language. When the same number follows you, appearing again and again on clocks, receipts, addresses, page numbers, digital timestamps, it is not simply nudging your curiosity. It is not asking for your attention only. It is inviting your soul into a threshold of remembrance. Each repeating number is not just an echo from without, it is a mirror from within, revealing that you are nearing a moment of vibrational alignment, a point in the river where your destiny meets your readiness. These numbers are cosmic signposts, quietly announcing, you are in proximity to something sacred. Pay attention not to what is around you, but what is rising within you. Let us understand something clearly. Repeating numbers are not fortune-telling. They are not predictions. They are not magical portents that declare what will happen to you. They are vibrational markers like ripples in a field showing you that the frequency of your inner awareness has matched the frequency of a higher law or a sacred moment. They are alignment cues. The outer world is saying, right here, right now, your soul is brushing up against a truth. You are standing at the edge of a doorway, not one made of bricks, but one made of awareness. And when you walk through it, something subtle but irreversible begins to unfold. Let me explain it in the language of metaphor. Imagine that you are a traveler walking through a vast forest. You don't know the way, but you trust the path. Along the trail, you begin to notice small white stones placed not by chance, but by the hands of one who walked before you. Each time you see a stone, your heart feels a flicker of certainty. I'm on the right path. The more stones you see, the more confident your step becomes. Repeating numbers are these white stones. Not final destinations, but confirmations of alignment. They are not the answer, but they tell you, you are close to it. This is why the soul often begins to see them in seasons of change, when you are considering a new relationship, or stepping into a new purpose, or feeling a restlessness that cannot be explained by logic. The number appears as if to say, yes, something sacred is stirring, keep going. Stay awake. It is your own higher self leaving signals in your timeline, timed with precision, wrapped in silence, waiting for the moment you would open your eyes wide enough to see. Let us look at a few examples, not to define them dogmatically, but to feel their vibrational flavor. 111. This is the signal of initiation, a beginning, the number of singular focus and spiritual wakefulness. When you see 111, it means you are standing at the edge of a new cycle, and your intention is forming the architecture of what will come. 222. This is the number of balance, partnership, and trust. When it appears, it often asks you to trust the divine orchestration of people, timing, and unseen guidance. It is the breath between the inhale and the exhale. 333. This is a powerful spiritual activation number often connected to the trinity of body, mind, and soul. It carries the resonance of inner guidance, often whispering, you are not alone. Christ consciousness walks beside you. 444. This number is a foundation number, a stabilizer, a spiritual protector. When it shows up, you are being reminded that angels, guides, and unseen forces are fortifying your path. But remember, beloved, the number does not carry meaning outside of your state of being. It is not the number that gives you truth, it is you who magnetize the number through your own inner movement. It appears when you are vibrating close to a choice, a shift, a realization. So ask yourself when the number appears, what am I about to choose? What am I ignoring? What am I finally ready to step into? Do not fixate on definitions. Fixate on presence. The numbers are not answers. They are invitations. They are the divine saying, I'm here, I'm listening. Come into the stillness and I will speak through your intuition. Let us pause here and breathe. Feel the energy of your own life. Feel the moment you last saw that number. Feel what part of your soul was awake in that moment. Speak now, softly within. When I see the number, I return to presence. When I see the sign, I step into trust. I do not chase meaning, I open to it. I do not fear the unknown. I walk toward it with God. The number will appear again not to convince you, but to accompany you, to remind you, to reveal the light you already carry. Why do we so often ignore the most sacred signals until they have screamed through silence again and again? Why does it take the same number appearing a dozen times before we finally pause and wonder if something divine is speaking through it? The answer is not that the message was absent. It is that we were not present enough to perceive it. You see, the messages from Spirit are rarely loud. They do not clamor for attention like the ego. They do not demand or frighten. They whisper. They ripple. They echo. And only when the surface of the mind is calm can the deeper symbols of life rise and be felt. It is the false self, the constructed identity of habits, fears, logic, and control that blocks the soul's perception of signs. The false self does not believe in divine timing. It worships efficiency. It mistrusts intuition. It sees repeating numbers as coincidence. dismissing them as tricks of the eye or the brain. Why? Because to acknowledge the sacred would be to relinquish control. To accept that something higher is speaking would mean that something higher knows more than the mind. And for the ego, this is intolerable. And yet, beneath all the dismissals, something in you has always known. Something stirs when the number appears again. Something flickers inside, like a light trying to shine through a fogged window. That something is your soul, the true self. It knows the signs. It never forgot them. But for so long, the static of the world has drowned them out. You were trained to ignore the soft language of spirit, trained to favor data over depth, speed over silence, proof over presence. It is not that the numbers weren't speaking to you in years past. They were. But your life was too loud, your breath too shallow, your gaze too distracted. The divine was knocking, but your attention was elsewhere. And that is not your fault, it is the condition of modern humanity. But the fact that you're here now, reading this, listening, feeling this moment, that is proof that your soul has grown stronger than the noise. You're not late, you're ready. And that readiness is why the numbers are showing up more often. Because now the soil has been tilled. The field of your awareness has become fertile ground for the seeds of symbolic wisdom to take root. What once seemed like chance now feels like guidance. What once was brushed off now glows with quiet certainty. This is not imagination. This is recognition. You are not creating the signs. You are finally seeing what was always there. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine trying to hear a whisper in the middle of a storm. The whisper has always been there, but the wind, the thunder, the fear, the distraction, it drowned it out. You leaned in, but the noise was too great. So the whisper repeated itself. Again and again. Not louder, but with more presence. And now the storm is finally fading. Your inner winds have calmed, and what was once imperceptible is now unmistakable. That's what's happening when the number appears again. Not for the first time, but for the first time with your full awareness. So forgive yourself for missing it. Celebrate yourself for seeing it now. And promise yourself that you will not return to unconsciousness. This is the turning. This is the threshold. Speak with me now, not loudly, but inwardly.